King Jaehaerys II Targaryen and his queen, his sister Sarah, had 2 children. The first was born in the year 244 AC, a son they named Aerys. He was soon followed by sister Rhaella, who was born between the years 245 and 247 AC. Little did anyone know at the time, at the birth of Aerys and Rhaella, the vital role they would play in the final years of the Targaryen dynasty, even though it should be fair to recall it was the actions of their father, King Jaehaerys II, which perhaps shaped their future and forced this path upon his children. The fate of Westeros and that of House Targaryen could well have been very different if Jaehaerys had allowed his children the kind of freedom of choice he was so lucky to have been given by his father, King Aegon V, even if, in truth, Jaehaerys had forced his father's hand in the matter. Prince Aerys was a handsome young man, with purple eyes and the gold-silver hair, the perfect example of a Targaryen prince and the blood of old Valyria. There were supposedly some private concerns at court around the time of Aerys' birth. He might be born with the rumoured similar deformities of his father, but evidently, even if the tales of Jaehaerys' deformed arm was true, it had no ill effect on his children. But Aerys was more than just a prime physical example of the perfect Targaryen prince. In his youth, Aerys was said to have an undeniable charm and a sharp sense of humour. He was generous, resolute and ambitious. He liked music, dancing, masked balls and young women. However, at the same time, Aerys was not the most intelligent or most diligent person and was somewhat quick to anger. He was vain, proud and changeable, which made him an easy target for lickspittles and flatterers. But on balance, Aerys at the time seemed like the kind of heir any king would want to follow him. Aerys had a small but close circle of friends that he trusted implicitly since his youth. During his formative years, he befriended the young heir to Casterly Rock, Tywin Lannister, who served as a page at the royal court. Aerys also later befriended the heir to Storm's End, his cousin Steffon Baratheon. If tales are to be believed, Aerys, Tywin and Steffon became inseparable, and many believed the future of House Targaryen looked bright with Aerys one day sat upon the Iron Throne, with the future lords Casterly Rock and Storm's End by his side. His sister, Rhaella Targaryen, too, was said to be the perfect example of the blood of old Valyria, with the traditional violet eyes and silver hair. It is said that Rhaella was always mindful of her duty to her family and to the realm that her position had afforded her, even if what was being asked of her was explicitly not of her own choosing or her own will. While we know little of her early life, with many contemporary history books giving more focus on her elder brother Aerys, there is a widely circulated rumour that Princess Rhaella had been in love with a young landed knight, Sir Boniver Hasty, who hailed from the Stormlands in her youth, a man well below Rhaella's position. While this is a widely circulated rumour, there are very few first-hand accounts related to their relationship. But what we can say is Boniver did wear her favour in tourneys, and in one instance, managed to defeat all challengers to name her his Queen of Love and Beauty. The exact nature of their relationship is not known to us. While some would simply call it an infatuation, there are those who will call it an affair. No matter the truth, if the latter were in fact true, we have no record of it, and most likely one would not exist in order to protect the princess from scandalous rumours. After Rhaella's betrothal was announced, it is said that Hasty gave up tourney jousting, calling it a show of vanity and hollow. He would fall deeply into religion, stating only the maiden could replace Rhaella in his heart. Later he would go on to form a salsal company, known as the Holy Hundred. The lives of both Aerys and Rhaella would take a dramatic turn when their uncle, Prince Duncan, brought his wife, the common-born Jenny of Oldstones, to court. With them came a woods witch, known as the Ghost of High Heart. The witch told of a prophecy of the prince that was promised, and said prince would be born from the line of Aerys and Rhaella. Most at court dismissed the prophecy as the words of a madwoman, but for whatever reason, the then Prince Jaehaerys believed this woods witch and decided to betroth his son and daughter together. There was likely some pushback from Aerys and Rhaella respectively to the match, with some reports suggesting they had always bore a dislike for one another. The legendary Kingsguard knight Sir Barristan Selmy, who was present at the wedding, stated that on the day of their marriage, neither of the pair looked particularly happy, and there was no fondness between Aerys and Rhaella. This marriage was very much forced upon them, which is something many point to as a failing of Jaehaerys, given he was allowed to forge his own path in life, even against the will of his father. The same very much could not be said for his children. Aerys and Rhaella had their first child, a boy named Rhaegar, in 259 AC, as the fires of Summerhall raged around them. That very night, their father had become king, as much of House Targaryen was lost in the flames. While married life was always going to be a challenge for Aerys and Rhaella, they had done their duty, even if it was not of their own volition. With the birth of their first son, Prince Rhaegar, it did seem for a while that the future of House Targaryen seemed secure, and maybe this prophesied prince that was promised would truly come from Aerys' line, be that Rhaegar, or perhaps even Rhaegar's children. But as things stand, the reality is we will never know the answer to that question. Westeros had a new king, a new heir, and a new future with the birth of Rhaegar. But finally, in the year 260 AC, the Black Dragon of House Blackfyre across the Narrow Sea would make its move. In the aftermath of Summerhall, Meleys Blackfyre, Meleys the Monstrous, and the Band of 9 set sail from the Stepstones to bring blood and fire to Westeros in this last grasp of the fire that was House Blackfyre in the War of the Nine Penny Kings, a war that would not just impact the realm during its time, but for decades to come, as friends were made and alliances formed that all set the stage for the downfall of House Targaryen.